Welcome to the wonderful world of Google Earth Studio. This is a terrific program for documentary filmmakers to use anytime you have a story that involves a place or travel. You can illustrate it by flying to that place, flying over it, flying around it, flying from place to place, and so on, and create movies right inside of Google Earth Studio that you can use legally in your documentaries. Now, when I signed up for this a year ago, you had to wait a couple of days to apply for it and get approved. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but just Google Earth Studio and start the process, and you will eventually get to this place where you can go to Try Earth Studio, and then you wait for the Earth to appear. There we go. I'm going to start a new project by going to Blank Project. I'm going to name it Rainier to Seattle. I'm going to make it 4K by typing here 3840, and automatically the other dimension for 4K appears here. I can change the duration, but I'm going to leave it at 450 frames. And let's go with 24 frames a second and click Start. Now you may get just a single view like this, just the Earth, but we want a map view as well. So let's go to the double view, and now we have a camera view here and a map view here, and down here, you know what this is? This is a timeline, just like in Premiere, with a playhead and keyframe buttons and a lot of familiar stuff. So first, let's go to where we want to start our movie, and I want to start on Mount Rainier. So I'm going to my search window, and I already have been going to Mount Rainier a lot, so that's already there. I click on that, and here we go, a map and an aerial view of Mount Rainier. Now, in the aerial view, the camera view, I've got a lot of kind of clutter of names of places and so on. I want to turn that off. So I right-click and go to Map Style. And by default, it's set to clean, but this is not a clean view. So to turn that off, I have to actually go to another one, Exploration. Then I click it again, and now I can select Clean, and all those titles disappear. This is a top-down view, but I want to view Rainier from the side. So I'm going to hold down the Option key and pull upwards with my trackball to tilt the Earth down. There we go. I like that. Now I can see the sky. Now I want to fly in closer to Mount Rainier. To do that, I hold my right clicker down and roll my trackball in till I get to a closer view, and then I can just drag this around. If I want to go down, I hold down the Alt key, and now I can move my view downward. There we go. I like that. That's where I'm going to start my movie. We always like to start with a still image, so I'm going to move the playhead forward. And by the way, there are two ways to fly around in Google Earth Studio. One is to kind of do it manually, just fly from place to place. We're going to do that in this first demo. And the second way is to use something called the camera target. And we're going to use that in the second part of our demo. But right now, we're just going to manually fly around. So here we are at our starting point. So I need to make keyframes, and I could keyframe them, these attributes individually, but I want to keyframe them all at once. So I click this, and here all these keyframes appear. And now let's fly to Seattle. So first I move the playhead forward quite a ways, and then we're going to drag this over until we find Seattle. It's over here somewhere. Let's see, where are we going? Where are we going? Up, I see Lake Union, and there's tall buildings, the city of Seattle, and I want to get down lower. So I'm going to right-click and drag Seattle until, okay, let's get it in position here until I see those buildings a little closer. Yeah, there we go. Good. Now I need to make new keyframes here. So I click the All Keyframe button, and we have new keyframes. Now we always like to have ease in and ease out, almost always like to have that to smooth movements. So it's just like in Premiere. I highlight all of these keyframes, I right click and go to ease out at the beginning, and then here at the end keyframes I right click and go to ease in. And now let's take a look at our movie. Here we are in Rainier, and we fly over to Seattle, and lovely, there we are. Okay, and now I want to fly somewhere else. Matter of fact, I want to go find the school, SFI. But first I want a little pause, so let's put the playhead a little beyond the end keyframes and make duplicate keyframes. Okay, so now I move the playhead forward, and I know that the school is over here in Interbay. So let's head over there. There's the golf course. Now I want to kind of loop around to find the school. So I'm going to go a little bit beyond it and make new keyframe here. Okay. And now move the playhead forward again. Now I'm going to rotate the view. And to rotate, I hold down the Option key and then move my trackball. There we go. We're rotating around. And now let's see if we can find the school. I know it's around here, a little to the left of the golf course. So let's fly in toward it, right-clicking, dragging my trackball down. There it is. I see the school. I see that little red building there. Let's go in a little bit closer. We don't want to get too close, or the view and the trees, get really gloopy looking. So I think I'm going to call it good there and make the final keyframe. Let's ease in on that. Ease in. Okay, now let's see how we did in terms of this flight from downtown Seattle. So here we are in downtown. We're looping around and flying in there. Okay, it was a little jaggedy there. We kind of felt like we got kind of lost in the middle. Okay, and so now let's go look at the map view. And yeah, I can see why. There's this sort of jag here. This is the path, and you can see how it's kind of jaggedy here. Let's make it more round. So this is the actual middle keyframe in that movement. So I'm going to just grab it and drag it this way and make it more round. And then I have Bezier handles. You see that? So let's make it a more gentle curve by dragging the ends of the Bezier curve. And let's see if that helped. So we're in downtown. We're looping around. Oops, wow, we went way out there. Well, okay, we took a trip out to Discovery Park, but it's nice to go to Discovery Park. So, and we ended up at the school. I think that's a pretty nice movie. So we could tweak it, but you get the basic idea of how we make the movie. And then we have to render out a movie. And here's how you do that. You go up to this render button, and you have the option to render it internally and create a JPEG sequence, but then you have to take that into After Effects and process it there. Kind of an easier way is to let Google render it for you on the web. So let's choose Video MP4, and all we have to do is click Submit, and then we wait for a while, of course, while this goes to the web. Here we have a message saying it was successfully sent. And then we can check the status of our render by clicking Render and going to Cloud Renders. And here we go. We see Rainier to Seattle is queued. And so it's going to take several minutes. Okay, I now see that the movie has been delivered. It took about 12 minutes to render. And now I just need to download it. So I go to the movie that I made from my list and go to the download button here. And away it goes. And it's downloading here to the bottom of my Google window. And here's the status bar, and it's done. Let's take a look at that in full screen and see how it did. Oh, and by the way, one downside to this is you have to have this text on the screen. It's automatically put there by Google, and you cannot remove it, which makes this a little bit limited for filmmaking. But for documentary, it's fine. Let's take a look at this movie. We fly to Seattle. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Out to West Point, Discovery Park, and into the school. Hooray! Now we're going to make a different movie using somewhat different methods for moving around. The particular method we're going to use is called camera targeting. And this is a little more finicky and complex, but it allows you to do some really elegant moves such as rotating around Mount Rainier, which might be nice. So the first thing we're going to do, as always, is move the playhead forward a little bit, and then we're going to right-click here in the camera view and select Set Camera Target. And you'll see it makes this little target symbol right here in the middle. Now I want the target to be on the top of Mount Rainier, so I'm going to grab the Option key and slide it up to the top of Mount Rainier. Now, unfortunately, I don't seem to be able to keep this sort of off-center target point. It's going to move back to the center as soon as I make keyframes, and it's going to move the mountain with it. And I have not figured out how to make an off-center target, and if anyone knows how to do that, please let me know. So I'm going to now click the keyframe button, but before I do that, notice that as soon as I start using camera targeting, we get a lot of more keyframes that have to be set, and so you have to end up scrolling up and down to catch all of them, which sometimes I don't. So let's collapse one of these. Let's collapse where it says camera target. And now we have a shorter list and we don't have to scroll up and down. And I can still click this keyframe all attributes button and everything in here will get keyframed. So that's our starting point. And now I'm going to move the playhead forward a little bit. And now instead of moving things around here in the camera window, I'm going to move things around here in the map window. And you'll see in the map window, we have the target is here, right on top of Mount Rainier. And then you have this orange triangle. This represents the camera, and this is the camera's field of view. Since we're at a new position, we can now grab the camera and swing it to the right. Now, I find it's best to do this kind of move in kind of small increments. So I'm going to go about a quarter of the way around Mount Rainier and stop, trying to maintain roughly the same distance, and make a new keyframe. And you'll see that we have rotated around. I'm going to move the playhead forward some more, and I'm going to rotate the camera around to about a quarter of the way around the mountain. Click the keyframe button again, and notice that automatically this path has become curved, which is nice. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see more of the map. And continue this process, moving the playhead forward. Oops, the path got a little wonky here, but I've got a Bezier handle and I can round it out. All right, let's take a look at that. And there we are, flying around the mountain. Yeah. And let's do an ease out at the beginning by highlighting all these keyframes and going ease out, and here we'll go ease in. Okay, and there we go around the mountain, and got a little wonky here at the end, but it's pretty good. And now let's make a keyframe for a pause. And now I want to go to Seattle again, but this time we're going to back up to Seattle because I think that's just going to be easier. So moving the playhead up quite a ways forward. And now we're going to go find Seattle on the map. There it is up there. There's the city. And I'm going to grab the camera and drag it up here until we see, there it is. I can see the city in the foreground. Good. And we're going to make a keyframe there. Oh, let's ease out and ease in. Ease out and ease in. Okay. Let's look at that flight. And here we go. Backwards to Seattle. There's the city. Good. And let's put in a little pause. And now I want to fly into the city. But in order to do that, I have to change my camera target from Mount Rainier to the city. And I can do that. First, I'm going to move my playhead forward to where my fly-in is going to end. And I'm going to push down the Option key and drag that target down to the city. Okay. Now I want to fly into the city, so I'm going to now move here in the camera window, holding down my right clicker, and I'm going to zoom in, and then I got to reposition to get that pretty much in the, it's going to end up in the center, so I need it really centered. Yeah, I think that's going to work. And make a new keyframe. Let's do an ease in on that. And let's see if that worked. Let's see here. Flying out and flying into the city. Oh, that's lovely. That's great. And now we can do some more moves here since this is our new camera target. So let's have a little pause. And then how about we rotate around the city? I'm going to move the playhead forward and then go over here to the map. And let's see. Let's rotate around that target. Yeah. There we go. We can see Elliott Bay and the Olympic Mountains. And let's make a keyframes there. And let's take a look at that. So we fly into the city. And then we rotate around it. And then finally, I wonder if we could kind of like come down out of the sky and land here. Let's try that. So I'm moving the playhead forward, and then I'm going to hold down the Option key. And yeah, kind of come. Oh, I can rotate a little bit. Oh, we're going to land in the lake. Well, maybe that'll work. Okay, make a new keyframe. And let's see what that does. So here we go. We fly into Seattle. We rotate around. And then splash in the water. Okay, that's pretty fun. Final keyframe. Ease into it. Ease in. Let's see here. Rotating around and down. Splash into the lake. Good. Okay, let's render out this movie and see what it looks like. Well, I had a 7-minute coffee break, and here I see that the movie has been delivered. So I go to the download button, and there it goes, downloading. And let's go take a look at that movie. Here we go around Mount Rainier. A little bit of a glitch there. I could have cleaned that up by tweaking it. We fly backwards. There's Seattle. We go in on Seattle. Great. And rotating around. And now coming down for a landing in the water. Splash. Okay. Well, I'm pretty pleased with that movie. And so there you have it. 2 different methods for using Google Earth Studio. And just a wonderful tool for documentary filmmaking.